All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is June 22nd, 2019. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of today's webinar is Box In and Trend Lines, and which one works best. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we are going to get started. By the way, this is going to be a little bit different webinar today. I came up with a way to show you, I think that's going to really make a big difference in how you see these charts. Okay, I've been thinking about this and working on it for quite a while, and I got it. I think you'll like it. We'll go ahead and start the webinar. So, first off, I'm going to show you, like I normally do, on a chart. And everyone look at the chart, and what do you see as far as the next trade that you're looking for? Anybody? Because, you know, what you got to really train yourself to see is, of course, this right here. You know, you've got to be able to see this action. Okay, and to me, that's a high, that's a low, that's a higher high. That is your established swing over here on the left. Okay, now on the right side, you do have a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Okay, but you've got a lower high, but not a higher low here. Okay, so you draw you a trend line. Or not a trend line, but a line like that, okay? And so what I'm seeing so far is that this looks like it's still, you know, pretty much an uptrend, especially if it holds that 5706, 5705. Okay, yeah, higher highs. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this next chart because I want to show you something that I think you'll really like. Now, obviously, you can't see anything on this chart as far as pricing or anything like that. So, you know, where is the actual trade on this chart? Well, there's no way to know that, right? But I designed this little template that I think you'll like, and I'll get it out first part of next week. But let's go ahead and look at this, and let's see if we might have a trade. Now, see the phantom that's flashing right through here? Okay, we got a little phantom flashing right through here. And let's look at our minimum, what we call our minor trade. And you've been kind of stair-stepping up. You're kind of stair-stepping down now. Okay? So what I'm seeing so far is you got a little phantom trade. You already missed this one, it looks like, because it bounced up. But anyway, let's see if we can actually, what do you think on this? Should we draw a trend line or should we box this in? Anybody? Should we draw a trend line or box it in? Now I can kind of see a trend line just with these little flashing bars, can't you? Something, let's see if we can catch it while it's flashing. Something like that. Right there, right? Pretty close. Let's go ahead and move it just a little bit. Something like that, just in case so we don't get wicked into it. Something like that as far as a trend line, right? If this starts stair-stepping up, see how you have a bar here, higher bar, higher low than over here, and then just right at this one. So we don't know if they're going to go ahead and roll over yet. Okay, but now let's look at the actual chart for the fun of it and see where it's at. Okay, so here's where we're at right now. Now, I would figure to box it in pretty much right across here myself right now. Now, what if it comes down lower and we don't even get the trade? What if it breaks, you know, phantom area and just heads on down? Well, we can look at that trade also, but keep in mind that the way we teach that trade is you're pretty much going to have to break this and then come back and kiss it. And it would definitely have to turn the background red and get our mid-band changing colors and then be able to take a short trade, right? Otherwise, it's going to bounce, possibly even off of this support right over here to the left. Remember how we had that on the other chart, 5705? Okay, so basically we've diagnosed the chart, both directions. But when we're looking at these first-time phantoms after a trend change, these are not bad trades. I would highly recommend everybody get in the habit of, getting ready to take that kind of trade. Okay? Because, you can tell obviously that they're trying to head up, thrust, retrace, big thrust, retrace. They haven't been able to take anything out yet. They're kind of consolidating. So, I kind of see this right here so far biased to the upside, right? Okay. But what if it does come down to like this 5705, for instance, like really down to this phantom, then obviously we'd be wanting to look for a long trade down here or a break above this box. Now these little white bars are going to help you out too, because they're really looking at these micro swings. Okay. So let's go ahead and put Object Trader on this particular chart. And let's go back to this one for just a second. I want to show you something here. This is kind of cool. I'm going to turn this off and this off. But with this template that I'm going to get you here, you're going to be able to see some of these trades a little bit easier. To give you an example, let's just look at a mid-band short that might have been right in this area here. See it right here? See how you got those bars flashing right there? Now, what did they actually do at that time? See, they headed down. So could you have boxed that trade in? And the answer is yes. Okay. Now you've got a green mid-band, and let's look at the alerts on the mid-band long and see where a trade might have set up here. By the way, always remember, if you're moving a chart or something, a lot of times those won't flash until you let go of the cursor. Once they start flashing, they'll keep flashing unless you're moving the cursor around, and then they can stop. Okay? But you can clearly see that you had a little mid-band trade right here you could have boxed and more than likely gotten at least a scalp. It looks like to me you got a scalp. Look at there. See there? Scalp trade. Okay? And just looking strictly at these little bars right here. Okay, so let's see if we can get a trade. What does anybody think? Do you think something like this little template might help you out a little bit? Where you can kind of see what's going on. For instance, if you look at instead of mid-band, let's just look at the minor trade long. See how you're definitely stair-stepping up. What I like about these new little bars like this is the fact you can get out of these trades pretty early. Because look at this thing, thrusting up like crazy, takes out that second one back, you're out of the trade. And, otherwise, what if you held it all the way to mid-band and it still took you out, because you can clearly see it came down to here. Now, it did bounce off this mid-band, first off. You saw that over here. But I still don't think that's a bad area to get out of that trade. When you look at, see, there's that bar right there. And I mean, you can even look at the swing, like when you get a high, a low, a lower high, and then take this out, you can also get out. See how this is all stair-stepping up like we teach lightning, totally, and then all of a sudden you get a lower high and then they take out the swing. That's an area you can get out of that trade. Of course, you could get back in it down here, right? Try to get a nice little pop. Okay, so rather than holding all the way to mid-band, it's up to the individual. You can do what you want. But let's say, for instance, that you were holding this and you said, okay, I'm going to hold this until it takes me out at mid-band. All right, so you put your stop right there. It took you out anyway, and then it took off again, but it didn't take out the highs. Okay. So to me, that's giving up too much on oil. That's 24 ticks from here to here. And if you faded it a little bit, like 3 ticks or so, then that's 27 ticks plus whatever fill you get. So what is that? Maybe 28 or 29 ticks. That's a $300 bill, back in your face instead of getting out at a better spot. Watch for these to quit stair-stepping up and then start stair-stepping down. And of course, if you just had the white bars only, you wouldn't see these blue bars. And this is your out. See your high, your low, your lower high. And then they try to close below here. The moment they close below this swing right across here, you're pretty much out of that trade. Okay? And granted, it went up a little bit more, but who cares? Because it did do, a little down, tried to make it, and then take it out. To me, that's getting out of the trade, or at least line 6, something like that. Okay? So let's talk about boxing in, and we'll see if we can get us a trade. You want to see if we can get it without bars? We might be able to. Anybody want to try that with like the little white bars instead of watching these bars? We'll try that in a little bit, but let's try it with this one first. All right, so what we're going to do, right now, this is all the price we know of. So we know we got a low here, we know we got a low over here, and we know we've got a low over here because we drew it on our other chart, okay? So we're going to box this in. Let's just see which way works the best. Replay, obviously, that we're on. All right, and can't box it like this, so naturally we've got to get rid of this box and do our region box and click insert to get our little box. So the moment you get your little box, you can size it. You can do with it what you want. Okay, so we'll look for this, and we'll also look for the phantom. So the way you would do that, you'd simply say, okay, I'm going to take a long inside. If this comes down to phantom line 1, hopefully it'll come down to here, or it's going to go ahead and break up with this higher low. Low, high, higher low, and then if they start popping, you would actually probably come to here, here, or here, okay? Or we're going to go ahead and continue down and check this swing. So we're trying to cover it both ways. All right, let's see what we can get. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. We'll go ahead and do 2. We'll do 1 as a runner. Now, as this goes ahead and keeps, if it does happen to pop up, we're going to take the long, right? But if this starts stair-stepping a little bit more, we're going to box it in lower. Now, see, it's trying to go a little bit lower. Now, see, you could actually do your box more like that. Okay, because see, you got a low and a little lower low, and you got a high right here. So, that would actually get you in a little bit better on the trade if they happen to break that and head up. Everybody see that? Touch plus 2. Yeah, I like touch plus 2 myself. And if they go down a little bit further, we'll even keep boxing it in. See, because what you're going to do, you don't just leave your box static. You got to be able to move it around. And I want to add one thing to this object trader too, and that's going to be the that really tight lightning entry. Yeah, see, now you can do that. Whoop, we need to do that. Almost got our phantom. There's resistance right there. And it looks like we got our trade. Okay, everybody see how I boxed that in? Now, let's look at the same thing on a trend line just for the fun of it. Your trend line's basically going right through here. See your high, this is a little high here at the time, so what you do is draw your trend line something like that. So it looks like pretty close to the same entry anyway on the trend line. So on this particular instance, the trend line or the box worked and worked the same way. Okay, now once you do get into a trade, obviously you've got to move your stop, but where would you keep your stop right now? Anybody? You'd have to keep it here, but now you could move it to here. See how this starting to stair step the little white bars? Fade it back a little bit like that. And then ride your runner. Just get it out of the way if you want to, and just ride the runner. Okay. Now, what I would like to do to show you today on this also is how to get out of this trade like you got out of this one here. Okay. Because you can really do some good, powerful trading if you'll use these little white bars also. Notice how they start looking at these swings and they start printing these little white bars. Now see, this isn't even swinging now, but on a one range chart it was, because it actually made this little white bar. So couldn't you start stair stepping your stop a little bit? You know, especially the way this is going up right now. See, that's a pretty good bar flashing right there. You know, they're not doing any pulling back at all. So you could easily stay with that trade, right, with that white bar. Because if those white bars are going to continue heading up, then obviously what we want this to do is to actually keep printing those white bars. See what this is going to do here. Now notice if you turned on like your Phantom, to give an example, that your Phantom actually also flashed down here. See, the green bars will flash here. See them right here? Those are flashing. So that's letting you know that a Phantom is setting up just like over here. We can go much higher. We'll find out. Let's see if we get another white bar before being taken out. There you go. I'd definitely move my stop there, since that's a good swing, and that's a predictor, by the way. And it looks like it's going to get us. See, now this white bar, notice that I used the white bar because it was really stair-stepping up, but you've also got to look at this too. Look to the left to trade the right. You got a high, you got a low, you got a higher high. If they take that out, then they're no longer stair-stepping up. See, they're starting to stair-step down a little bit more. Now, does that mean that you couldn't get back in this trade though? Because remember, on oil, from here to here is 24 ticks. We gave up quite a bit of that. Okay. Now, here's a trade setup that's actually setting up for us as we speak. What do you think? Anybody? You want to box it? You want to do a trend line? Got to make up your mind. You want to box it? All right. Let's turn this off for just a minute. I'm going to look and see where it could hit its head. It's already hit that swing. Hadn't hit this one, so I'm going to go ahead and put the bottom of my box right there. It already is. Okay, that's good then. You could use a line also, Chris. Now keep in mind that the line trade is technically exactly the same as the region trade, and with you turning this on and off. You're just drawing a box. But Sniper, when we first designed it, was because you were able to do these horizontal lines and get you a trade. And you could use just one if you wanted to, or you could use two. But once we fixed the region to where you can actually move it in real time, you know, it kind of took over Sniper, because you're able to do this with both of these, you know, your T and B buttons. Let's see, in real time, my big problem is let me see what this is. We'll answer that. Is the wrong entry. Well, one thing that you could look for then, see this Phantom trade right here. Now, this is a trade that I call all the time. Now, notice this was way before we opened the room, but isn't that a true Phantom trade? If you train your eye to see this, isn't this a true Phantom trade to the short side, and it went right to mid-band? This was a true Phantom trade long, and it went to mid-band, but through it, so you stayed with the trade. All right, let's see if we can find some other Phantom trades. Here's Phantom trade. Definitely worked to mid-band. Another Phantom trade, definitely worked to mid-band. Another Phantom trade, definitely worked to mid-band. Definitely. Close to a phantom. That may have touched phantom. Let's see if it did. It may have just missed it by a tick. We've got phantom turned on, so it's evidently not flashing the green. It has to actually touch this line 2 at least to get the green bar to flash. So this particular one, was that a good phantom trade? Well, technically it's a phantom because it came really close to line 2. So I would definitely box that in about right through there with resistance and take that bar. Okay. Yeah, if you'll learn to look for this particular trade, I think you're going to be amazed. And the mid-band trades. You know, mid-band trade, let's just take a look at this one. Let's say that you were, you know, this is 857 a day before that, okay? So you're looking at the chart. Here's a couple of beautiful phantom trades, but you missed them. And let's say you got to your computer at 921. All right, and you're not going to buy a thrust, okay? Let's just draw a line. Well, let's say even further. Let's say you got at your computer when this thing was all the way to the top. So you got up and decided to drink your coffee and everything, and this is what the chart was doing. Do you take a trade here with that thrust? No, you got to at least get back to stealth and then bounce again, or a minimum criteria trade. Because if you go chasing a trade like this where it's already thrusted like that, most of the time you're going to get that to begin with. Because by the time you figure it out, if you know, and keep in mind that it's not all the time that you miss a trade, it's just when you're at your computer. Because there's times I get up at like 5 a.m. or 5:15 and the trade's already happened. And I think, well, if I'd been up 15 minutes earlier, I'd have got that trade. But you can't look at it that way, because if you miss this phantom trade or this one here and it thrusts up, you got to wait for the pullback. So when you're waiting for the pullback, you know, keep in mind that this trade that Charles teaches, like, you know, religiously, the mid-band trade, that's his absolute favorite trade. That's one of my favorite trades also, along with phantom. I like phantom trades because they're deeper retracements. They'll usually move further and they're less risky. Okay? But a mid-band trade, even, just to give you an example, let's just look at this trade. Let's turn this back on. Let's turn on alerts. Minor trade. That may have been too far back. Let me set the clock on here so we can get this trade so you can see it. The alert is only goes back 480 minutes, so I'm going to have it go back like 1440, which is a full day. All right, and then we're going to go back to 920, so you can see that trade, Marco, on your question just a few minutes ago. Bear with me just a second. Hopefully we don't lose it. There we go. Okay, so 920 is right through here. So if I turn on my alerts, all right, you had your phantom. Let's see what it looks like. You're starting to pull back. Starting to pull back. Why are we long again? Are we? Oh, we had a region on, didn't we? Well, that's all right. We'll let it do its thing. But see how this comes right down to previous support, bounces off a predictor, okay? Would you be pretty good at buying that by boxing in? Now, I would buy it down here myself because it literally kissed this support that it made. See it right there? So that's where I would box it in and probably be in the trade right through here instead of way up here, okay? But if you're a little bit more conservative and you want to go ahead and get the little white bar, then wait on the white bar, because, you know, that white bar, so you still stayed in it and you're still okay, and you're still okay. But anytime you get a little breakout, you're going to get a pullback usually. So when you can get in as close to support as you can, like I was doing, then you would have a better trade, see, than here. But if you're willing to put your stop here to begin with, and when you get in on this bar here, then that's fine, because you never got taken out, okay? But just remember, wherever you box a trade, you've either got to get out of it the moment it comes back into it, or use the box itself at the bottom of it. Okay, and if you do like 3 or 4 contracts, you don't want them to come all the way back down to here because you'd be feeling some pretty decent heat. What if you got in here and it comes all the way down to here? And so let's say you got in, let's just say you got in right here. That's 12 ticks from there to there. So that would be $360 pullback. Okay. So, always draw on your charts and you can try to get in at better spots. These predictors are really good at getting you in on these thrusts and pullbacks. See, even that phantom right there was a predictor. This one was too, except that it came. What I look at on predictors, by the way, and when I'm looking for a phantom type trade, I like to actually get this trade that's right between line 2 and line 1 as close as I possibly can. If it'll nick that and give me a phantom green bar, I'm a happy camper. This one would. Okay. But notice that other one a few minutes ago didn't, or one that we looked at anyway. I think it was down here. See where it was. Yeah, this one right here. See, it didn't nick the phantom. It just missed it. But you can still box it in. I mean, would that have been a good trade? Absolutely. We probably even took it on Thursday. Okay. So see, we had this turned on, so that's why we're in a trade right now. That's all right. We'll just stick with it. We'll put our stop just under the swing, and we're good to go. Now, let me ask a quick question, and this is a good one too, because a lot of people ask this, because what if this breaks out of here and this is going to do an A, B, C instead? Okay? And I expect that most times, because usually as a rule they do an A, B, C. See, here's even like here an A, a B, and a C, and then they break up. This is just an A and a B, and they're breaking up. Okay, you might tighten it a little bit, that way you're not risking as much. Put it on exit on close. But that was also bounced right off of a swing to the left too. So could you box that little trade in? I would have probably boxed it a little tighter than that, like more like that right there. But look at that little white bar that just lit up. That's pretty much where we got in. Okay, let's see if that trade worked out. I'm not sure if it did or not. Let's find out. Looks like it did. Yeah, definitely did. Oh, definitely did. Matter of fact, that's the little trade I took on Friday. Yeah, it was 5:30 in the morning about. Boxed it in. Now, let me ask you something. You're trading this particular trade right here, okay? And this turned out to be a little monster trade. Where could you get out of this trade to keep you the best part of the money? Let's see if we can do it in real time. Here's our white bar. Just lag it back just a little bit. Exit on close. Let's see if we can get a little bit more coin. Or it'll take us out. Trying. See if it gets us. That one got us. See there? But look how good you got out of that trade, though. A lot better. Matter of fact, it looks like this thing may even break. Look at this. Let's draw a trend line on the chart and see. Actually breaking through there. Let's draw the trend line here then, since it made a fresher high. Now, what does anybody think about using that little white bar to get out of some trades rather than mid-band? Because that turned out to be a pretty decent little trade, but if you use that little stop right there, that was actually a pretty good stop. Turned out to be, didn't it? Okay, let's see what this trade does, and then let's see if we can box it. We could have boxed it right there and gotten another trade. We missed that one. We can probably get it again, though, more than likely. Let's see if we can get it again. If we can get a thrust, a retrace, and another little pullback, we could be able to draw a trend line. Let's see if it'll let us. We got to get a retrace though. Either that or it's going to bust up. Now, there's a little retrace in the mid band, isn't it? Right there at support. I probably missed that one. Well, let's see if we get a little white bar. I'll take it on a white bar anyway. See if we get a white bar. Hopefully it's after a little pullback because I would have already tried to get that trade. Don't get too fast at getting trades, because if you miss one, let's say that you got up at 544 instead. Where's the trade on this? Well, it's already happened, but you've got to wait for a little retrace, don't you? You've got to, because if you chase this right here, where have you got resistance? Right up here. That more than likely would not be a good trade. And if it is, it is. But we're retrace traders, so we're going to try. Let's see. We got support right down here, which they've already tested. They've got support right here that they haven't tested. And they've got support right here that they have tested. Well, let's see if we can get a trade. Remember, we got up a little bit later than getting this one. So let's just say that you got up and this is what you're seeing right here. Retracing a little bit. See if we get like an ABC where we can get in this silly thing. If that bar goes down, I'm going to bring this box right above it. Yeah. All right. Let's get rid of these lines here and draw the one right here, which I don't think they're going to check again. They could, but they probably won't. So I'd probably box this in right here for right now. And then if it does a little box better than this, we'll get it even again. Like, in other words, if it comes down here, we'll rebox it. We're still looking for longs, right? We got a high, we got a low, we got a lower high, but we don't have a lower low yet. Still looking for longs. Bouncing off that support. I think we're boxed okay. What do y'all think? Now, if it gets us in, we got to put our stop at that little wicked candle to the left. Didn't get us in yet. That's a predictor also. Down bar, if that went up and then went up again, that would be a 1, 2, 3 reversal. Put it right on predictor, and I'm going to do this even. If it comes down to predictor, that is. If it breaks here, we'll be in it. What about a trend line? Anybody? Anybody see a trend line that you could actually do? This webinar is about trend lines and boxes, so could you also do this little trade right here instead? That's about the same spot. Okay. See if we can get the trade. Looks like it's going to. It's about, nope, didn't fire. There it did. All right, let's go ahead and put our stop right under there. Everybody see why I did that? Because it's doing a little stair stepping now. So I'm going to even move these targets out of the way. That looks pretty strong. Because see, it's saying that it's going to predictor. So I'll put, whoop, not my stop. I'll put one of the targets right around that predictor. It's going to get it. It's good. All right, and now we're in one. Everybody see how you do that? This is exactly the way we teach this stuff all the time. Okay, now if you were in this trade, let's just see how long we can stay in this trade. Let's get our target out of the way, and let's look at our little white bars, right? Got a white bar way down here. We're not going to put our stop way there. There we go. We got one. So let's lag it back to the little white bar. little white bar, and we're out. Now, was that a decent out, or what do you think? Or did we get out too early? Nope, did not get out too early. See that? That was another little bounce right off my line. You could have quickly taken, probably gotten 10 ticks. Now, if you're a gutsy trader and you see something like this happening in real time, where you've got a high, a low, a lower high, and they break this, you can always box this even for a short if it breaks this swing right here. But I would put a very tight stop on it, because this is still an uptrend so far. Now, it's looking to me like it's trying to break, though, especially as quick as they did it. That's another thing you'll train yourself to see a lot of times, is how quickly they do something. Let's see, does that go with the black bar also, Gary? Well, you can turn the black bar on too, absolutely. Lewis, on your question, see the little white bars right here? Just turn on your black one. And let's see here, you got a black bar right there. So that got you out pretty much on this bar instead of this bar. Because if you lag back to the second one, you know, it's going to cost you more each time. But also if you use the very top one, you know, the very first one, a lot of times it'll be a little bit too tight, especially if they go into a tight consolidation. But line 6 is also a good area to look for an out. Line 6 in stealth. Okay. Let's look at something else here. I'm seeing a trend line. See your low here and your low here? There's a trend line right there. So if they break that, they're liable to head down. Now, could you actually box at a mid-band when you see this happen in real time and take a short if they did happen to break this right here? And the answer is yes, but you're going to want to be careful with that, okay? Because to me, until this actually at least breaks, kisses, and rolls, it's a very, very risky trade. And risky trades is not what we're about. You know, we're more into the trades that, well, you want to get a retrace. That's all there is to it. Let's see if we can get something on this. If it does break, see, it's breaking support right now, but let's look at the what it really did. Let's see here. It's breaking a little bit. Now that's a phantom, but that's no longer a phantom. See there? All right, so that's a thrust. Now, what are we? We're retracement traders, right? So that mid-band went magenta. Okay, so now draw your resistance on your chart. Got a resistance there at that swing. You got another one right up here. That's above mid-band. So this is actually a little sweet spot for a trade right in through here for a short. Everybody see that? Now, could this be actually just a phantom, you know, that's going to try to bounce here? Very possibly. But keep in mind that it actually even broke this support over here that was a nice medium swing. See how they're trying to break it? And they didn't quite break this one right here. Okay? But by our rules that we have, this is now a short because you've got a magenta midband and a red background. So I would definitely be looking for shorts. Let's see if we can find one. There's a predictor. Everybody see the predictor right there? Now, could this be a decent little trade? Let's see if we can get a 1, 2, 3 reversal. Got a candle up, candle down, short out. And we'll see if we can get something. And let's use that little black bar. Well, we got the black bars turned on. Going a little higher. A little higher again. There's an up bar. If we get a down bar and then we break, we'll still take it. There we go. We got it. Everybody see that? Predictor trade. And what I was looking for, notice that I had a bar up, a bar down, never fired. Bar up, bar up again, wouldn't have fired there, obviously, so your bar up, bar down, that's where we got it. Everybody see that? Okay, now this particular trade, by the way, just simply use your black bar instead of your white one. Okay, we can even turn the white one off and just use our black bar since this is looking more for short instead, and then bring our stop accordingly with our little black bars. Let's let it break this swing first though, if it's going to. I'd probably bring my stop at least to that one. Now we're going to bring it to this one. Exit on close. Okay. Yeah, I was sure glad when I came up with that idea on, we had this original one for a trend change, but then it just hit me like a ton of bricks one night. I thought, why not add another one and call it like a minor trade? And it'll keep us in these trades, but it'll also get us out of the trade at the proper time, which I really like. Okay, because watch your black bars. You're going to notice this is pretty good. Got a black bar right there. Go ahead and tighten it a little bit more. If we get a black bar here in a minute, maybe, or here. No black bar yet. See how that respected that little swing? You're going to do this black bar again there, oil. See, it's looking at these little micro swings, and notice that you haven't had any yet. So we got one over here, but we haven't gotten one down any further yet. Going to stop us? Looks like it's going to stop us. Is it? Whoa, that was close. Everybody see how those black bars can work? Now, it may take us now. It's hard to say, but now keep in mind that what you could do now with a wicked candle, you can go ahead and move your stop back just above that wicked candle so it doesn't take you out. Because this is what I do a lot. Go ahead and move it like right there, because now this black bar, see, got wicked. So just put the stop here instead. We're only one tick, so we're not risking anything. Let's see if this thing will head down and give us another black bar. We should have taken one off already. Yes, we should have. Trying to show you how to stay in with these black bars though. All right, there's a black bar again. You want to see if that'll hold? Might. If it takes us out, it takes us out, but let's see if it'll take us on down. There's another black bar. See how they do everything in little micro swings? That's what they're doing continually. They're just continually giving you great trades, and all you got to do is learn to see them. Black bar. Now keep in mind, this will probably get you out a little tighter, and you may have to get back in a trade occasionally, but that's actually okay in my book, because getting back in a trade, at the proper spot is better than giving them 30 ticks back. See there how that little bar held? It's an ingenious new little indicator. I like it. You want to see it on the chart over here that we were doing? Yeah, let's do that. Let's get rid of the forest for the trees, so to speak. I'll just get this off the screen and let's look at the little black bars. And we'll get rid of predictor. Without price to inhibit you or anything, tell me when you get out of this trade. For some reason, it prints that predictor even after I take them off. I'm not sure what does that. You got to take it out. Anybody want to see why? Turn your white bar on and you'll see it too. See there? Took out that white bar, took out that black bar, stopped you out. Now, was that a good out on that particular trade? Anybody? So where I had that line drawn, if you would have gotten out of that trade at 57.32 with the close of the bar, look what you saved yourself. See there? Isn't that cool? That's just absolutely pretty cool. Now, does anybody remember that we open that room at 7:55 every day, right? So at 7:55, there are trades that set up all the time, okay? Now, what we're going to try to do here is get everybody to see where this trade was called in the room on Friday. Okay? So let's see if we can get it. I'm going to fast forward this to 7:55. And we'll have to slow it down here in a minute. 7:50, 52. That's it. All right. So right here is when we opened the room. I'm going to get rid of everything. All right. Now, let's go ahead and even do this. Let's put our little white box on it from Friday. White box is our region. 7:59. We do have it set for 7:59, so we're good. All right, so at 7:59, that little white box will go off. All right. Does anybody remember in the room that we had a line drawn here? We said if it was going to break up, we're going to have to at least break this and head up, or we were going to box it and take the short, remember? And here's 7:57. Speed it up just a little bit so you can see the box. Box in or trend line? What do you think? That looks like a pretty good little box to me. What do y'all think? Let's let it draw. 9 more seconds. 8. There's a little box. Only going to take this if it breaks up, and that would be a very risky trade unless it just took off like a bullet. And if this does a little tighter box, keep in mind you can go tighter. See, there's a little bit of support right there on the left. And does anybody remember this particular trade on Friday? And this was called exactly. So this is, this is like, wow, anybody can be a rocket scientist after, where you can see the charts. Well, yeah, that's true. But we called this live in the room too. And in live, it would have to be either a crystal ball or some other way that we knew, right? No, it's just boxing in. That's why one of the guys in the room this week said, he was thinking about naming his next child Boxy. Okay, now let's see how long we can stay in this trade with our little indicator. Looking for the minor trade short. There's your little black bar, right? Lag it back just a little bit until it takes out that support. And you could go ahead and move that down to that support if you wanted to. Take out the support and we'll move it. Let's go ahead and move it. It's good enough. Anytime they give you a couple of bars like that, that's good enough. Now, does anybody remember this trade that was called exactly in the room? We actually had a line drawn at 57.07. I said before it ever happened, you had a high on the left, a low on the left, and a higher high. Okay? So what we call your big trend was high, low, like an ABC type move, and this was support. So could you have absolutely taken all your coin off the table at a couple of ticks above that? Because a lot of our people did that, by the way, like at 57.05 area. not 5, other direction, 8 or 9, 10, something like that. Could you actually take a trade like that? Now, we didn't get this one, but I want to show you something that you can do with Object Trader that I don't know if a lot of you are actually aware of or not. But if you have a target set, you can actually click reverse at target, and you have to look at what target is. That's number 2. And if it hits that target, it'll actually reverse the trade. See there? Now, you would want to put a pretty tight stop if you do that, just in case. Okay? But see how that hit exactly where that line was, where support was? And you could actually get you a pretty decent trade. That's called reverse at target. Now, I did call that a support on Friday morning. I didn't personally take that long because I was thinking, wow, they're going to blow through that like a heartbeat. Did they, though? No, they didn't. They actually bounced right off of it. So, you know, if you want to use a feature like that, it is available in Object Trader. And it does work. Pretty amazingly, actually. Okay, so what is everybody's favorite? You know, so far, I still think that it's probably the box. Because the one thing about trend lines that you can get faked into a trade because they'll just go above them and then they'll pull right back under them. But a box is usually where you're starting to stair step back the other way. Okay, so there's just a lot better trades that way. What do y'all think? By the way, that was a trade setup right there too if you wanted it. See where it hit predictor? That's a short, by the way. I'd probably do it for 10 ticks. See if I can get that. And then I put my stop nice and tight. Let's see, I like all these lines boxes, etc. Makes trading easier. I agree, Lewis. You know, to me, I think we've probably got, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I do think we've got one of the best trading systems on the planet. Let's see, but you're entering a phantom when touch the line or your box, Marco. Well, basically what you want to do on entering a phantom, Marco, you want to really get in that thing early enough. Okay? Let's just close this. We don't care. I'll teach you a little bit about that. All right, now notice these aren't phantoms. These are box in trades, but they're not phantoms. But let's say that you were looking at this phantom over here. Okay, that I was teaching just a little bit ago. All right, when it actually comes down below line 2 and then pops back above it, I usually jump in it. Stop just inside line 1. I don't like to put it all the way to line 0 because you give up too much of that trade. That's 12 ticks from there to there. Okay, and sometimes they'll wick you out. Unfortunately, I've had that happen to me. But you'll notice that when you come down there like that, and then they pop back above that line too, that you box it in is a pretty darn good trade. Now, what if you did it more aggressively like I talked about, where they hit the line and then they popped back above it on the close? That's on that bar. This one, they hit it and they pop back above it on that bar, so that's a close. So you're really in the trade here if you do it that way than getting this beautiful trade that actually came to line one. Because, this is your trade here, which you would have felt some heat, because keep in mind, no matter how you look at it, that came out of that box and then bounced off a phantom. So an aggressive way would have gotten you in a little bit too quick unless you actually use these little swings and box. And if you box like that, then you'll probably be okay. Okay. But like this one here, for instance, if you hit line two as quick as you could, that was a nice little pop trade, wasn't it? And where could you have gotten out of this? Let's say that you were trading this in real with your money. All right, so you got in that phantom, and you're in, and you got a black bar. Then the moment they close below that black bar, you're out. Okay? Now, or you could do the white bar bit, like so. And you'll notice that you got a white bar here, but you didn't get another white bar. So you'd have to get out at mid-band at least if you were using that. Okay. But notice that that black bar printed when it took this out to begin with. See here? That bar. Because it took out that little swing. So if you entered this and you turned on the black bar, you could get out on that one and you would have still saved 10 ticks on even on your runner. And you could have gotten a nice major pop on your scalp. You got your scalp at mid-band or above, and then you held your runner. That could have still been a good, couple $100 trade. Okay, this one down here, when it bounced off of line two, and then it just went like a house of fire, you don't even have to get out of this trade yet, right? Because the way I've been teaching this for an hour is that you could look at your black bar and your white bar. And so you don't even have a black bar on here at all yet. There's your white bar. And you got out, right? So I think this way definitely works. I think everybody will like it. And if you want to see it like on a more of a blank chart, I'll have this little template perfected by Monday, because what you have to do to get this little template, this new alert has to have this indicator on the chart, and it has to have the background on the chart. Without those, the only thing that'll print is this particular little indicator, because it doesn't care about all this. And I think potential trend change will also print, but any of the others won't print because a mid-band, it has to have a mid-band. A minimum criteria, it has to have a minimum criteria, which is based on this. So without this indicator, you're not going to get a lot of bars. So, basically you'll have to have this particular template to see this chart like this. Okay. Anybody have any final questions? Did I miss anything? It makes it black and white, doesn't it, Ed? That was good. That was very good. It does make it black and white. It makes it easy to see, where the trade is and for us to get into them. Now, keep in mind that, again, some of my favorite trades are the phantom, short, and when you get this mid-band like this, you just start looking at phantoms where they're at. Sorry, right there. And then if it doesn't get that one, then you just keep bringing it down to the next phantom, next phantom, next phantom, next phantom. And then, it finally gets to the point where it'll do a phantom more than likely. Okay? Let's see, as it relates to the alerts, i.e. phantom, Lewis, let me see if I got your question. Does that go with black bar? Oh, you did. I answered that, Lewis. What the deal is with the black and the white bar you're just getting the overall gist of the whole swing. In other words, you're getting the thrust and the retrace. Okay, so, this is stair stepping even on the black bars, see there, and the white bars. See how the white bars are heading down, 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 down. Then they start heading back up. That's a retrace. Okay, and then you just get ready to box in those trades, trend lines and things like that. Okay. Anybody want this little template that I've got here? I'll get this for everyone if you want it. Now, if it just makes things harder for you to see, then don't worry about it. Don't take it. But to me, this makes it a little bit more to where I can kind of see, how this is really trying to stair step. Okay. And you can even do it with your alert chart and use actually the colored bars even if you want to. Just keep in mind, to get the actual alerts to work, you do have to have like your midband on your chart. If I take this midband off this chart, see, where's my power trend? If I take power trend off the chart, hopefully I don't lock up. All right, and then I try to do like midband short, midband long. Oh, it still does that one. That's right, the midband. Let me think. It's the minimum criteria has to have stealth, and the let me see if it draws a phantom still. Maybe it will. Phantom. Not sure if that's a phantom right there or not. It actually probably is. It must have gone higher. So that's a phantom. So it does draw those. Let's see what else. Potential trend change. Let's see if it draws that. Yeah, you might not actually need the indicator on the chart. It's actually reading it anyway. Maybe it's the background that it was, if I took the background off. There was one of them that I was playing around with that if you took it off, it killed one of the alerts. So I just put them on the chart. See if we can figure it out. This does give you kind of a graphic of where the prices are heading, doesn't it? It's pretty cool. Kind of takes away from that look of just seeing all the trees and or the forest, and you can actually see the trees. Let's turn them on and see how many of them don't turn on. This is something I just did, so I'm even learning this one. And don't turn them all on as a rule, because you're just going to practically turn on every bar. Let's see, am I missing any? I don't think I am. Got my minimum criteria. Yeah, minimum criteria is that. I gotta quit moving my cursor. Minimum criteria is there, midband is there. Yeah, they're all there. Okay. So you can actually turn it on like that if you want to. See, this tells me right here, for instance, that if I was to draw a trend line, like right across here, that could very well break to the upside. If I was to draw a trend line under here, that could very well break to the downside, right? Let's see if that looks like that on the regular chart. Let's get it over here. So that's about 1230. Let's get this one over here, 1230. Get this one back on. Oh, come on, stay on. I'll do this, stay on top for a minute. That was about 8:01-ish right in there. This is, let's see, See if they broke that particular trend line right there. So is it here that I was drawing that? Looks like it was, wasn't it? I can't really tell without the bars on it, unfortunately, on this one, because see, you're not printing the price bars, you're printing strictly these little alerts. So we'd have to diagnose it a little bit further. But it looks to me like it literally broke it and headed down. So anyway, it's just a way to look at, like boxing in, always keep in mind that you want to stay with the particular trend. The particular trend as of we speak right now is down. See, we even boxed it right here. This was that trend line right here, by the way. Right there. So it definitely broke down, didn't it? Yeah, it definitely broke down. So, you can tell by looking at the price action on those alerts too, how the chart's doing. But I'm going to send you the template though, that'll actually be with the mid-band of stuff, because you can see a lot clearer. I don't think you can see as clear with just that blank chart. To me, that's a little bit harder to see. I like this particular one that I designed. I'm going to call it Webinar Alerts. Let's see if that'll stay on there. And then we're going to wrap. I know I'm running a little bit over. We try to make it a lot easier to trade, for everybody to see. And let's go ahead and turn on the alerts again. And that's actually right where you're at with the prices, but then it did break through, yeah. And here's another one. Well, way back here you could see you could draw another one. But keep in mind that was drawn on like Lightning 3 too. You could draw it on Lightning 2 also. So there were definitely some good trades set up on here. See, here's a mid-band type trade. You can clearly see it. And there's probably a phantom trade more than likely if we look at the actual prices. Okay, so basically what I use these little minor alerts for is just to stay in the trade. For instance, if you were to have shorted, to give an example, when this started breaking support and you saw this heading down, well, you're looking for this retrace, and that's that one we caught a little while ago. And if you turn your predictors on, you'll pretty much see it too. See how it hit there and then started heading down. So here's another one right here, headed down. So I think you'll like them. I like the alerts myself. It really keeps me in a trade better than drawing trend lines and things like that, because I've gotten out of trades, and I know Charles does like those mid bands, for a pullback. I just can't see mid band trades on pullbacks except for a runner. Now, runner, it's okay, but let's say, for instance, you got in here and you held all the way to mid-band. All right, so you boxed it in like right across here, say, for instance. And if you held all the way to mid-band, then you're really getting out of that trade. You're really only getting that much of it if you held the whole thing. But yet this came all the way down, probably further than here even, remember? So I'm not really into the mid-band on that. I like these little, when it starts stair-stepping back, I'm going to get out. Okay, hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed the webinar. It was a little different, wasn't it? Showed you some ways to see some trades on your charts and a little bit different way to see the alerts. Did I miss any questions? Yeah, you can also, Chris, absolutely. Keep in mind, you can put rays on a second chart even, and boxes on another one. And on Ninja 8, I really do want to get it to where we can do multiple object trader types, like rays and boxes at the same time. Because, for instance, I might want to do a box, and if it barely breaks it, but then it also breaks a ray, add a couple, because I'd still have the same stop. All right, let's see. I don't think I missed anybody. Did I answer everybody's then? Let's see, James, how do I sign up for Viper? Can you let me know before you close? Absolutely. Let me write your phone number down, and I will get you a phone call in just a few minutes. Bear with me, everyone. Yeah, we'll get you signed up. We'd love to have you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to, keep trading like we've always traded. But also keep in mind that when we call these trades live in that room like we do, a lot of these trades work out extremely well. Okay. So even if you're not as adept at trading yet, if you're newer, try some of the trades we call in sim, to give an example, because like on Friday, when we opened that room at 7:55, we nailed a trade up in here that was 40 ticks, 50 ticks if I remember right. That was $1,000 trade with 2 contracts. And utilizing these little black bars to get out rather than mid-band saved most of that last contract. Okay? We'll see everybody on Monday morning. Thanks for coming. Jim, I'll give you a call right away.